Thank you for joining the Financial Brokerage webinar, College Funding in 5 Easy Steps. We'll begin in about a minute here. I'd like to thank you all for joining us this morning. And reminder again, there will be a question and answer period at the end of the webinar. All questions must be typed, and that can be done at the bottom of the control panel on your screen. All right, good morning, everybody. This is Brian Leising of Financial Brokerage, and we'd like to welcome you to our webinar, College Funding in 5 Easy Steps. I know your time is valuable, so we're going to keep this to about as close to 20 minutes as possible. We'll have an opportunity to ask and answer questions at the end of the session. Since all of your phone lines are muted, you'll be able to type in your questions. That control panel is at the bottom of your screen. So I thank you once again for joining us this morning. We're going to discuss 5 different ways that you can use life insurance to help your clients with college planning, to help them pay that tuition bill when it comes due. And we're really going to have something for everybody here this morning. Clients of every economic level out there. We'll discuss ways you can help your clients that have got a lot of money. We'll discuss a way to help your clients who have really very little cash flow. And also, there'll be some opportunities for all those folks that fall somewhere in between, which is probably the majority of the population of the country. So, before we get into it too much, though, who's a prospect for something like this? And from a broad sense of looking at it, really anybody, any household with children that are under 17, under 18 years old. If they have plans to go to college someday, then that household is a prospect for you. And you can get into that household by speaking to the parents or by speaking to the grandparents too, and we'll discuss that in a little more detail here shortly. But like I mentioned earlier, we're going to go over 5 different steps you can take with just about any household out there with children. Some of these steps will apply just to certain people. Some households, you're going to be able to sell multiple policies per household and get referred to other family members. There's some folks you can use all 5 of these steps within the same household. So what are the 5 steps? We're going to discuss, to begin with, a couple information gathering steps and tools that we have available here at Financial Brokerage. We'll go over the SmartTrack Toolkit, and we'll go over something really old-fashioned called a fact finder. After that, we're going to go into the vehicles that a person could use to provide the funding, and that's going to involve cash value or maybe even return a premium term life insurance. Then following that, we're going to go over some additional, or you might say alternative ways of providing the funds. We don't want to forget about grandparents. Sometimes they have more money than mom and dad have, and one of our life insurance carriers here actually offers competitive scholarships for the children. So to start with the SmartTrack Toolkit, some of you may have used SmartTrack in the past. We have a link on our website that takes you right to them. So they're sort of a third-party vendor that we utilize. They are not part of Financial Brokerage, although we've arranged for some discounted pricing for you to use them. And SmartTrack is a separate company that you can direct your clients to, and for a small fee, your clients can utilize their services. So they provide a third-party source of information. They're not biased towards any one insurance company or any one agent or registered rep out there. It's just information for your clients. and they have several modules on their website that your clients can utilize. We're going to concentrate on the college funding module, but they can also help your clients, school-age children, with test preparation as they're prepping for the ACT or the SAT, student positioning, what sort of classes they should be taking towards the career path they want to pursue. They can help you with admissions and getting into the colleges and doing it the right way. And they also have a special module out there for student athletes to help them. But we're going to concentrate on the college funding aspect. So what they essentially do is once your clients log into their account, they're going to have a questionnaire to fill out, and they're essentially filling out the FAFSA form, the Federal Student Aid form, ahead of time. And they're going to put in all of their information, where their assets are, what their income is, and then send it off to the folks at SmartTrack. And SmartTrack is going to analyze all this information and look and see what their expected family contribution level would be, assuming their assets are where they are today. And they're also going to give them a good estimate of what sort of financial aid they might be eligible for, whether it's grants, it's loans, what they can expect. And then they're going to go ahead and make some recommendations to that family and suggest to them, if you move this asset over here and this asset over here, then all of a sudden your expected family contribution has been lowered by several $1,000s. I think the average is $5, $6, maybe it was $7,000 or $8,000 that they can lower that expected family contribution just by moving some funds from the left pocket to the right pocket. Now, the folks at SmartTrack, they aren't able to implement any of these changes. They're just providing the information to the client. So that's where the client has to come back to you as the producer to implement what the recommendations have been. And it usually involves moving the money from wherever it is now, maybe into an annuity, although that does a good job of sort of hiding it from the FAFSA form. It doesn't make accessing the cash very easy. So if they have some funds that they've already set aside that they're planning to use for college funding, you want to move that into a life insurance policy. So now you've got that third-party endorsement, and it should be an easy sale at that point for you. How do you get in front of folks to utilize this system? Well, one, I would look in my client files and find the families that have children in the household and talk to them about this, and see if it's something that they want to pursue. This works especially well for late-stage planning. These would be people that have got children maybe ending junior high or just starting high school right now. And they may have done some planning already, but funds are not in the ideal vehicle right now. And the folks at SmartTrack can help make recommendations as far as where to move that money to help out the family. You can find these people, if you don't have them in your client files already, by utilizing our Leads on Demand system. That's under the Sales Tools heading at fb-inc.com. And Leads on Demand will let you select and purchase a targeted mailing list. You can go in there and choose the zip code you'd like to target. You can choose the income levels, choose families with children, and you can get the names and addresses of people that fit that criteria. Then it's up to you to send out a newsletter, a postcard, a formal letter to them. Maybe call them up on the phone if you've been able to obtain their phone numbers, and see what kind of business you can drum up with the SmartTrack toolkit. This is a system probably works better with the middle to upper income individuals. People have got some pretty decent cash flow going on. Now, let's say that your clientele don't fall into that economic category, or you'd like to be able to help out a broader range of people out there. Well, then we use this really old-fashioned tool called a fact finder. We all remember using these. We were all trained in these the first 2 weeks or first month in the insurance business. Sometimes we get away from them, but it's amazing the simple little questions a person sometimes forgets to ask if you don't have a formal fact finder in front of you. And luckily for us, two of our top carriers, ING and Mutual of Omaha, have got some software tools that help very specifically with college planning. You can input information, and you can choose an education rate of inflation to not only look at what the costs of college are right now in the client's area, but what they will be down the road. They're going to give you a good indication of exactly what those costs are today at both private and public schools, if the client or if their children have some idea of where they might be going. And a couple things you can do with this. One, by coming up with that final figure of what the college tuition is likely to cost, you can add that figure back into your client's total needs analysis when you're helping to figure out how much life insurance they really need to have. I think that can add a little more face amount to that, which gives the client better protection and generates a little higher premium as well. You can also use that figure as a goal for them to reach with their other college accumulation goals that they have, whether they're putting it into a 529 plan or hopefully into a life insurance policy. Now they know what that end figure needs to be to pay for that college tuition down the road. So again, a couple carriers have got tools that make this very, very easy to utilize. And we'll discuss here next the vehicles that you want to use to provide the money down the road. And I look at life insurance for college funding as sort of a Section 529 plan on steroids. A lot of us are familiar with those for college planning. You put money into them, the money grows without being taxed. In fact, you can take the money out for tuition purposes, higher education purposes, without having to pay any tax on the growth. Now, there are some limitations with 529 plans. The money must be used for higher education purposes for the child that they were designed for or another relative. If it's used for something else, you're going to face some tax consequences and lose all those advantages. There are some limits. They're pretty high on what can be put into one of these plans, but still there are some limits that are out there. So if you utilize a life insurance policy, you have a lot of flexibility. There really are no upper limits on how much money could be put in for college purposes. The money doesn't have to be used for that purpose either. If the student ends up getting a full ride scholarship or decides not to go to college, now you're not stuck with all those limitations. You can go ahead and use the money to pay for a vacation, buy a new car, buy a new house, or just leave it there and utilize that money for retirement. So life insurance gives us a lot of flexibility that the Section 529 plans just can't deliver. You want to use a cash accumulation policy for this. It could be a whole life policy. It could be a universal life. I really like looking at the indexed universal life policies. You're going to historically receive a better rate of return than with the traditional UL, and of course with absolutely no risk of losing money like you might find in a variable plan. And one alternative I think a lot of people don't consider that they should is a return of premium life insurance policy. You could set up your client with a 15 or maybe a 20-year ROP, and they get every penny back completely tax-free at the end of that term. A couple advantages there. One, they know exactly the amount of money that they're going to receive and the day that they're going to receive it. They've got that death benefit protection along the way as well. If they don't make it that 15 or 20 years to be able to continue paying in the premiums and provide the funding, the death benefit is going to take care of that and a lot more. Another advantage of the return of premium is that not only is cash value life insurance not counted in that FAFSA report, but with the return of premium, you really have no cash value. So there are no assets. You just get a lump sum that is completely tax-free once you receive it. So it's another way to sort of hide money from the folks that are calculating the financial aid. So that's the vehicle, or a couple of the vehicles that we like to use for college funding. Now, next I'm going to discuss a couple ways, a couple alternatives to look at here that I think a lot of times we don't think of. And one of those is looking at child's grandparents. Now, maybe you're talking to mom and dad, and they would love to help out Junior with the college funding, but the cash flow just isn't there. They're having to maybe pay for daycare or pay for all sorts of sports leagues, and the money's just a little tight. Well, chances are Grandma and Grandpa don't have that same problem. They're retired. They've got the funds sitting there. And if you've ever met with any clients who are grandparents, I tell you what, just think back to their home and the photos you saw on the walls. The photos of their children are probably long gone, and they've now got grandchildren plastered everywhere in their house. Just ask them any question about their grandchildren and see if you're able to get a word in edgewise for the next hour. They will go on and on and on talking about the grandkids' events, their ball games, their recitals, how much fun they are, and that sort of thing. So, they love their grandkids, and they would really do just about anything for them. So maybe you're working in the senior market already. Don't forget to ask your clients about their grandkids, and just ask them, do you know if your grandkids have got any funds set aside for college already? Have their parents taken care of that? Maybe they themselves have got a CD or a mutual fund or an annuity that's earmarked exactly for this purpose. Other sources of money they might have would be required minimum distributions. Some folks are receiving money that they really don't need. Well, let's turn around and put those funds to use for us. You might also want to move some of that money into a life insurance policy that is earmarked for the college education of the grandchild there. And I think I mentioned this earlier, they could provide the funds for a policy on one of the parents if the cash flow is running a little low, and be able to utilize that for the education of the grandchildren. So that's one source of alternative funding. The other one I mentioned earlier is Foresters Life. They are probably the only fraternal insurance company out there that works through marketing organizations like us. And because they're a fraternal, they don't necessarily pay taxes like other insurance companies. They do give back a lot to their members, and they give back in the form of disaster aid, disaster relief. They build playgrounds in certain communities. They provide fun events for their policyholders, or members as they call them. One of the things that they like to do is offer college scholarships for the children of their members. And to be a member, all you have to do is purchase a policy, and they make that extremely easy. A client could have, let's say, a $100,000 15 or 20-year term policy with them, simplified issue, non-med, so there's no pyramid exam to worry about. Those things turn around in underwriting very, very quickly. This would be where you can help clients that maybe don't have a whole lot of cash flow or a little bit lower income, don't have money to set aside specifically for college, but you can at least provide them another opportunity to get some money directly from Foresters in the form of the scholarships. Now, they award 350 of these per year. Last I saw, they tend to have about 1,000 applications every year, so even an average student is going to have a 1 in 3 shot at $2,000 per year for up to 4 years. And this is something I think, too, would work in just about every household out there. If it's an upper income household and you're talking to them about the Smart Track Toolkit resources, and they're shelling out some bucks to have that analysis done, there's nothing wrong with getting them a small non-med term policy with Foresters, so our children have access to another source of money to help pay for college. So I think I'd kind of mentioned this already. The 5 steps could all be used in the same household in a lot of instances. You might even want to start with that fact finder from ING or Mutual of Omaha. If they're the right type of family, you may pivot to using the Smart Track Toolkit. Maybe the kids are a little bit older and they've got some money. It just might be in the wrong places right now. Ultimately, we want to get to using a cash value or maybe a return of premium life insurance product. If funding is an issue, cash flow is an issue, then don't forget about Grandma and Grandpa. They might be a little more likely to have those funds available. And then the competitive scholarships from Foresters, that's something you can utilize with just about anybody out there. So I'd like to thank everybody for attending this morning, and I think I did keep it to about 20 minutes. I'll go ahead and check the screen here and see what questions we probably have. In the meantime, if you run across some other producers out there that you know of that you think would benefit from the ideas here, by all means, don't keep us a secret. Send them our way, and I'll see if I can get to the slide with our phone number here. You can have them call me anytime, and be happy to discuss this in a little more detail here. And got a question here about a copy of the PowerPoint from Bruce, and I'll jot that down. I'll make sure I get that over to you there. And let's see here, I guess. Yeah, they all revolve around viewing the screen. And let's see here. Yeah, so we may have had some technical difficulty, but I'll be sure and get that out to you there. A discount on the college toolkit is another question that was posed out there. Yeah, you can get to this through our website, fb-inc.com, and then click on Sales Tools, and then go to the One Source section, and then go out there to Smart Track Toolkit, and the discount is built into that. So, and looks like we have another question here about a copy of the PowerPoint. So we'll be sure and get that out to everybody who attended. I apologize for the technical difficulty there. Again, any other questions, feel free to give us a call here, 800-475-5555. My extension is 3371. Thank everybody this morning. Have a good day.